Don't forget to like the video, share your thoughts or story in the comments, and subscribe to our latest stories. Before I start, tell me where you are watching me from. I wonder which cities and towns will join me in this memory that will follow me for years. I never expected a routine checkup to turn into one of the most unforgettable moments of my life. It was one of those crisp, early autumn mornings where the sunlight hits the trees just right, and the streets outside my apartment hum with the faint, comforting rhythm of daily life. I remember gripping my purse a little too tightly as I walked into the clinic, my mind swirling with the usual mix of anticipation and mild anxiety that always accompanies doctor visits. At 52, I've learned to accept the little tremors of worry that come with medical appointments. They're part of life, like the wrinkles around my eyes that deepen every time I smile. The waiting room smelled faintly of disinfectant and coffee, a combination I've grown used to over the years. I was seated near a window, watching a few pedestrians hurry along the sidewalk, their jackets flapping in the soft breeze. I sipped on lukewarm water from the paper cup at my side, trying to distract myself with the mundane details of the world outside. My name was called sooner than I expected, and I followed the nurse down the narrow hallway lined with framed certificates and photographs that documented the life and achievements of Dr. Harris, my physician for nearly a decade. Dr. Harris greeted me with his usual calm warmth, a presence that always made the sterile environment feel just a little less intimidating. He had this way of speaking that carried authority without being overbearing, a comforting balance I never took for granted. We exchanged the typical pleasantries, and I sank into the chair across from him, the familiar leather creaking slightly under my weight. I braced myself for the routine questions about my health, my sleep patterns, my diet, all the things that, over time, felt more like small talk than the serious inquiries they were meant to be. Then, as we discussed my latest blood work, Dr. Harris paused and leaned back, his expression changing subtly. It was the kind of shift you almost don't notice at first, but then it settles into your consciousness like a shadow stretching across a room. "I have something I think we need to talk about," he said, his voice unusually gentle, almost hesitant. My heart skipped a beat, not from fear, but from curiosity. He went on to explain that one of my test results was borderline in a way that could signify something more serious down the line, but what really shocked me was how he framed it, not as a cold, clinical concern, but as a personal matter, something he wanted to help me navigate with care and understanding. "I know this isn't easy to hear," he said, meeting my eyes directly. "But I believe we can manage this together, step by step. You're not alone in this." There was a pause, a moment where time seemed to slow, and I felt a wave of emotions washing over me: fear, relief, gratitude, and something else I couldn't quite name at first. He wasn't just my doctor in that moment, he was a partner in my journey, someone who treated me with dignity and humanity, acknowledging the full complexity of my feelings. His words, calm and intentional, struck a chord deep inside me, reminding me of the value of trust and connection, especially when life feels uncertain. I found myself opening up in a way I hadn't before. I talked about my worries, the sleepless nights, the subtle fears I hadn't admitted even to myself. Dr. Harris listened without interruption, his nods gentle, encouraging me to continue. There was a depth to the conversation that went beyond health charts and prescriptions. It was a meeting of minds, a quiet, shared understanding that sometimes words themselves can't fully capture. At one point, he leaned forward slightly, resting his hands on the desk, and said something that I'll never forget. "Life has a way of testing us, but it also gives us moments of clarity, where we see our own resilience. You're stronger than you realize." I blinked back tears, feeling both exposed and comforted. His acknowledgement wasn't condescending or patronizing, it was sincere, and it hit me with the gentle force of truth. I realized that the shock I had felt wasn't just about my health, it was the profound impact of being truly seen and understood by another person. We spent the next hour discussing options, next steps, and lifestyle changes, but the conversation was layered with empathy, respect, and an unspoken sense of partnership. I left the clinic that day not just informed, but transformed in a subtle yet powerful way. The air outside felt crisper, the sunlight warmer, and even the distant hum of the city seemed different, as if I was noticing life with new eyes. Reflecting on that day now, I understand that the shock of his words wasn't about fear, it was about awakening. It was a reminder that vulnerability, honesty, and emotional connection are not weaknesses but bridges to understanding ourselves and others more deeply. Dr. Harris didn't just diagnose, he connected, and that connection stayed with me, a quiet, guiding light in the weeks and months that followed. Walking home, I found myself taking slower steps, savoring the rhythm of my own heartbeat, the gentle sway of the trees along the sidewalk, the muted chatter of neighbors. There was a renewed sense of perspective, a gentle reminder that even in moments of uncertainty, human connection, real, heartfelt connection, can be a source of profound strength. And it all began with words that shocked me, in the most unexpected and ultimately life-affirming way. By the time I reached my apartment, I was smiling softly, a little wiser, a little lighter, and infinitely more aware of the quiet power of listening, understanding, and mutual respect. That day taught me that shock doesn't always hurt. Sometimes, it opens the door to deeper insight and emotional growth, leaving an imprint that lasts far longer than the moment itself.